Good afternoon. My name is Bill Reardon. I'm the executive chef here with Harvest Table at Springfield College, and I'm joined by Chef Chris Walls. We're preparing a locally sourced seasonal salad for you today. We have a few ingredients that we're going to discuss in depth, and it's really not an overcomplicated salad by any means. I think it's very simple, minimal cooking. We're just going to do a little bit of light roasting on a vegetable, and we'll talk about each of these ingredients and how they play into the dish. I think this is something that you'll enjoy for yourselves and for your family. Today, what we're going to be offering is what we call is a prized ingredient in our area, and it's Hadley asparagus. And any of those who might be from the area may know this already, but Hadley is known as the capital of the world for its asparagus. It's been served over in Queen receptions with the Queen for their spring festival, and it is something that we hold dearly up here. And if you ever had the opportunity to try it, you really will know it has a distinct, very buttery and nutty flavor to it, more pronounced than your typical asparagus. And it comes in different sizes. So a lot of people prefer what they call the pencil, the thin asparagus. And I'm really a fan of the larger stalks. I feel it roasts better. There's more bite to it, a little more flavor to it.
Absolutely, holds up a little better for the cooking process.
Yep. So Chris is gonna start off by getting our asparagus prepped and ready to roast.
Yep, I like to take the asparagus, and first thing I like to do here is snap it. And where it snaps is where I usually like to cut it. You can take these stems here, if you will, and chop them down, use them for stocks and soups, if you will, and anything else, a small addition to your salad as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a few of these.
So one of the things Chris was mentioning earlier, because we both come from some really nice restaurants, and we've worked over the years together. Ironically, it's funny that we're back here together. But asparagus, when you get the larger asparagus, and you were talking about it earlier, you asked if we were going to do it, was the peeling of the stalk.
Correct.
And there's several reasons for that. One is the larger the stalk, it tends, as you get further away from the tip, from the point, to be a little more fibrous in there. It makes it easier to chew through. And it also makes a really nice presentation.
Really nice presentation. You can actually shave it and add it right into your salads, just blanched. So I'm going to take this here, a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and get it right in the oven.
Okay. And what temperature are you going to roast it at, Chef?
About 375 for about 20-25 minutes till it's nice and tender.
Okay. So while that's in the oven, we can get on to the next phase, and that really is just preparing our vinaigrette. And vinaigrettes are different. There's vinaigrettes where you really could just take an oil vinegar, a few spices, and just put it in a bottle and shake it. I think that's how my mother did it. Or you can do something what they call emulsify. And I prefer that type of vinaigrette. It's a little more creamier, it dresses, but it also can be heavier. So it's important that when you're adding it, you add it in smaller amounts. Usually you put it into a bowl and you kind of coat your greens with it. We're going to do a little bit different today with the way we dress our board, which we talked about. But Dijon, we're using Dijon mustard, and this is really the emulsifier. And what it really does is it kind of coats the fat, the oil drops, and it brings together the vinegar. And again, it makes this really nice emulsification, which just basically means it comes together. We are featuring greens, and these greens are baby greens. There's baby romaine and a couple other little crisp leaf greens, butter leaves. And this is coming from a company right down the road.
Wellspring Harvest, a co-op that we use quite often for local greens here at the college.
Yep. So it's a great program here. We're going really out to try to source more local products as well. Again, I mentioned the asparagus is from Hadley, Mass. Our heirloom tomatoes are from Hadley. Our blueberries are from down at Driscoll Farms, which as well is in Hadley, which is a great resource right down the road for us. So a lot of guests wouldn't know that in Springfield, but there's a lot that's right there at our fingertips. So the vinaigrette we're making today is a blueberry thyme vinaigrette. So we have a little bit of fresh thyme that I've already taken the time to pull it off of the stems. And that's just going to make it a little easier as opposed to trying to pull it off and getting any of the stems into your vinaigrette. Again, we use the blueberries. We have some olive oil, and then we're also using a champagne vinaigrette. And another vinegar that I think really goes well when I've done blueberry thymes or some of these fruit vinaigrettes is white balsamic. I think it just kind of elevates the flavors, and it has nice acidity. And we talk about what acidity does, but acidity, it brightens the palate.
Absolutely. Nice elevation.
Exactly. So, we want to add that. We want to have the right balance. And then if you were to ever make a vinaigrette, now we have berries, so we have enough sugar content into this. However, if you're making other vinaigrettes and you're looking for where you feel it might be too acidic, you can add maybe a teaspoon of honey, and that will balance it off. Okay. So we're going to start in here. We're going to add a little bit of the Dijon mustard. We're going to add on our dried thyme. I say dried. It's just because it sat out a little bit. And then we're just going to take a little bit of garlic. I'm just going to give it a light smash. And the blender really is going to do the rest of the work. Sometimes you have to mince it if you're putting it into a bowl. And I am going to do a little bit of a mince on some shallot. And it won't add the same heat if you used red onion. It's sweeter, it's milder. And we just want to, once again, get a little bit of balance into that. We will start with our vinegar. Make sure I grab the right one. And we're probably putting maybe 2 tablespoons in there. We are going to put a small handful of blueberries in here. And really, don't be afraid to put it all together. It's really the oil that will emulsify it in the end. Pinch of salt. And some pepper. Okay. So we're going to start the blender, and then we'll add the oil in a stream to it, as opposed to if you put it in now and you start blending it, it tends to just break. So this is just going to take a minute, and there'll be a little bit of noise here. It has a nice bright color. This is going to look great on a plate.
Looks really good.
Give it a little bit of taste.
Excited.
Make sure it's seasoned properly.
Very nice.
All right. Put that back here. So we're going to hold this off to the side, and we'll take our blender out of the way. And this is really going to be more of a, we use the term over and over, rustic presentation. Just kind of means larger. It's not as refined, right? The cuts aren't all necessarily there. Okay, so we're going to take a couple heirloom tomatoes.
Get a few different colors here.
And these are beautiful. They're right, it's just starting to come into season. Usually it's the inside where really you get a chance to see how nice they are. I've heard people say, God, they're ugly. And as you really get to appreciate them, you really see really how beautiful they are. So
I believe I've even seen them in the grocery store referred to as the ugly tomato.
Yeah. So we'll get rid of that little piece here in the end. And then we're just going to cut these into nice bite-sized pizzas. Okay. So we took our heirloom tomatoes and we gave them just a small chop. And we are going to build our salad right on this board here. I'm going to take these out of the way just so you can probably see a little bit better. And we're going to start by, we're going to dress our plate, so to speak, with our blueberry thyme vinaigrette. And we're going to drizzle the greens very light with olive oil because these greens are very delicate. And I was talking about sometimes a heavier and emulsified vinaigrette is going to weigh it down and it's going to go flat on the plate. So we have some opportunity to just kind of
be a little bit artistic and get that vinaigrette down. Beautiful color, Chef.
It's gonna speak. Okay, so we're gonna lay some tomatoes out here. And this does not have to be perfect. It's gonna look messy, but in the end of it, it's gonna come together and your guests are gonna be able to come up and kind of help themselves take a little bit off the plate. We're gonna take a little bit of our crisp greens. And I love these because they hold up. And then some of the more delicate leaves, and I'm just going to break them a little bit. Some of these are small enough that I don't need to do that. A little bit more of these greens because I really like the way these hold up. And we're going to, again, season lightly little salt, some pepper, and then drizzle, just the olive oil, drizzle it around. And again, we don't need a lot because the vinaigrette is on the plate. Just give it a light toss. We're going to just kind of lay this right out here. Take that out of our way. So now our asparagus, I'm going to slide this over a bit. Chris is just going to cut the asparagus because we want to see the inside of the asparagus.
That's right.
The asparagus has nice, there we are.
Thank you, Chef.
Yep.
So we're just going to take this and cut this down a little bit so it's a little bit more manageable for your guests to eat. And especially the inside gives a great contrast of color as well. On the tip, I just like to cut once down the middle because we like to maintain that appearance there.
And it looks like you cooked them perfect.
Thank you, Chef.
You want them to still have a little bit of bite to them. You don't want it to be overcooked where they're just kind of limp because what happens, they become very stringy. So you just want to cook them just till you get that color on there.
Chef, there you are. I'm just going to try and separate the tops for you.
Cool. So we'll take some of the bottoms here. We're going to lay those across. So we have this. We have a couple others. We'll take this cutting board out of the way. We'll bring this back to the middle, and then we'll finish this up. So how I like to finish is I just another little drizzle of olive oil, right down the middle. Another bit of black pepper. And I have, additionally, we'll put a little of our blueberries on top, so everybody knows what our vinaigrette is made of. And then I like texture in my salad. I like that crunch. I love croutons, right? Guilty. I love them. And so what I have here today are two things that I think would go really well. And one is either a toasted pinoli, a pine nut, or some toasted sliced almonds. And I think I'm going to go with the almonds today. It's going to add just that nice bit of crunch that is probably missing from our salad. And I think that's it. I don't think I missed anything. I think we're good. Beautiful. And from our table to yours, that is our heirloom tomato, local Hadley asparagus, baby green salad.